Hi guys, this is Becca. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am sharing my December 2020 budget wrap up. If you're new to my channel, I share my personal finances every month as well as just a little bit of my life. So thanks for tuning in. So I have blocked out the top 4 categories of income, and those are just my 2 income sources from my part-time jobs and my husband Jared's 2 income sources, mostly for his privacy. But then I share this miscellaneous number and our total income. So miscellaneous usually just includes rental income that we get from renters who are currently renting our house. Long story, I'll link it up above, but we are moving in March to our first home, and currently we've got renters in there. So they pay us $1,300 for rent, a $200 fixed rate for utilities, and then any overages. So this is just kind of how much I thought we'd get from them this month. As you can see, we actually got $3,110 in just miscellaneous income. And this included, I think, around $1,600 from them. And then we got several bonuses for Christmas that we had not really been expecting. So we got about $1,500 in bonuses, and that's kind of where that number comes in. So our income was higher than expected. We actually had lower, actual income because Jared, he's self-employed and he just didn't have as many projects as he usually has. So we were just really lucky to have that extra bonus income that we didn't count on. So our total income was $8,283.63. And then starting with our bills, we had initially budgeted $600 for our tithe, and this is just a guesstimate based on 10% of our income minus the rental income. And we actually tithed $814.31. And this is not technically a bill, but we are believers and we always give right off the top. So this is always the first thing in our budget. Rent and water was $1453.39. And the rent is steady, but the water changes every month, so it's always just around this amount. My phone bill, okay, so I was trying to do something here. My phone bill was actually $54, so I'll just write that in. But I just started receiving a phone and internet stipend from one of my organizations that I work for $50. And so I was going to not include it as income and instead just subtract it from our expenses because I just didn't want to think that we made more money for tax purposes, just for all of that. But it was just a little confusing and it wasn't working for me. So I just decided to move it back towards income at the top and include the accurate amount here. So this was $54. Our Wi-Fi at our apartment is $61.10. Our car insurance was $153.93. Jared's health insurance was $160.37. Mine is through my mom since I am still under 26 and I don't have to pay for it. Our renter's insurance is $12.09. And our electricity this month was $64. So these are all of our regular bills, and then I always put in a line just to separate this out. So these are all of our house bills, and we are charging the renters based on these 3 utilities. So whatever they actually spend is what we actually charge. They just know that they are going to send us $200 no matter what. So mortgage is $1,200. That's always the same. Our Wi-Fi is $69.81. Water and sewer was $76.39. Electricity was $87. And then natural gas here at the bottom really killed me because this is what it was last month. And then this month it was a whopping $147. And I was blown away when I received that bill. I think it's because the house is heated with natural gas, and in Texas, that's where we live, it's just starting to get a little cold. Actually, November, which this was for, I don't know when the billing cycle is, but basically the last 2 months have been colder than normal, so the bill was pretty high. So the total of that, all those bills was $3.53 and 40 cents. And I am so looking forward to when we can chop off like all of these bills and it goes back down to a reasonable number. It just feels really high right now. And that is in a couple months. We'll move in March. And then our expenses. So grocery and household, budgeted $400 and actually spent $396.76. And if you're like, what's going on in this section up here? So I made this budget template myself because I just wanted something that fit my exact needs, and so I just like made it, and I thought it would, I could decorate it however I wanted. And initially I included these little boxes to track Jared's specific project income, but I decided that it was actually a lot easier to just do that electronically. So I stopped doing that. I also think it made the paper look messy. So that's what that's about. And then our next category is eating out. And we had upped this budget this month to $180. It used to be $160, and we still overspent $186.31. It's also the holidays, so I'm not going to beat ourselves up too much because like there's just a lot going on where eating out was more expensive because family was around, and it wasn't a huge deal. Gas, we didn't actually end up visiting family like I thought we would, so it was only $50.72. Shopping, we only spent $125.37, and that is honestly just by a miracle because we were supposed to have something come in. I had like a special order, and that would have brought us up to the budget, but it didn't happen. It was like these doorknobs or like cabinet dresser pull knobs, that I special ordered, and they didn't come in, and so we haven't paid for them yet. So that's what kept our budget under. And then beauty, only spent $17.88. I rarely actually spend my $50. I just like to include it just in case. Subscriptions was $45.14. Christmas, I was so close here. Spent $200.07. So I would call that a win. This category included Christmas decorations that we bought. This is our first year married. My husband and I, we got married in March, and our first year living together. So we had a lot of stuff that we wanted. Like we bought stockings and little like decorations for the house, and we bought a gingerbread kit, all of that kind of stuff. And then any Christmas activities we did. So my sisters and I always do something called Cookie Stravaganza, where we bake a ton of cookies together. It's super fun. And this year we did it virtually because pandemic. But I still obviously bought supplies for that. And since this was my first year doing it alone, I don't really bake. I cook a lot, but I don't bake. So I had to buy things like a hand mixer and an extra pan. And so I included that as a Christmas expense. So gifts. This is where we really blew it. We spent $297.25, which is, I really wish that I'd had more money in my gifts sinking fund and I could have like covered this overage, and now I'll know better for next year. It's totally fine in a general sense because we had the cash to do this. It just doesn't look pretty on my little budget. But now I know that there are more gift expenses than I initially thought for Christmas. Also, I think we had set up a 529 account for my nephew, and or we were supposed to set one up for him in October when he turned 1. Or that was our gift to the family, but we didn't get around to doing it until December, so that's when our initial deposit hit, and that's why it was so high, because that is technically a gift. And then auto, this was just for my car registration. It is $75.25 in the state of Texas, and I got my inspection in the month of November. If you've seen that video, you know that I spent so much money on car stuff in November, and hopefully I won't have to spend any more money on car stuff moving forward, and it can just be growing in its little sinking fund. And then miscellaneous, we spent $69.51, and this is just for like unbudgeted stuff and random things that don't really fit in a category. Then we also had some expenses that were not initially planned for here. They were supposed to be sinking funds, and then we just had to spend money out of our sinking funds. So this is kind of how I categorize it. I just put less money in the sinking fund that month, and I put it in an expense. So for health, we ended up spending $25, and I feel like, I don't remember what that was for, maybe like vitamins or something. For home, we ended up having to buy an air filter for our new home, and so I put $40. That cost $40.03. And then travel, my passport came this month, and so they took they deposited my check, which was $110. I had to change my name, or I changed my name because I got married, and so I had to get a new passport. And that amount total for all these categories ended up being $15.99.26, which was more than planned, but not the end of the world. Then moving into the bottom categories for savings. So the top one, investment, I have a Roth IRA, and I have it auto set up to take $15 every week, which I know is not very much, but I've really been focusing on knocking out my student loans right now. So I was trying not to spread myself too thin. So that's how much I've been putting. Although we've talked about in the new year kind of trying to do more than that, even if it slows down to the debt a little, just because we are both not in a position where we have employer matches or 401ks. So these Roth IRAs are the only tax advantaged retirement accounts we can have, and we're not fully utilizing those. So I know that time is really big for that. So I think we are going to address that moving forward. We'll see. And vacation, I didn't do anything because I spent it there, and I'm trying to change this to travel because sometimes I use it for things that I don't know, you wouldn't call like a vacation, but it's still travel. And then gifts, didn't spend anything or didn't save anything. My sinking fund, health, we did 60 just because we do cash. Like technically, yeah, we should have done 75, and we should have done 75 in auto, but we actually did 80 in auto because, yeah, you take cash out in 20, so I just had to split it up, and the health sinking fund had more money in it than the auto did. The auto had none, so I put more money there. And then home maintenance, we did 260 because of the air conditioner. And then we actually added a new line item. This is for my husband. He came to me and he said that he really wanted to buy this guitar. He is a musician by day. It is his thing, and he wants this new guitar, and it's very expensive. To me, I am not a musician, so it's all relative, but $1,500 feels like a lot to me, which is how much the one he wants costs. So we are like saving money for it every month, and this month we put $290 aside for it. He's also going to sell some instruments, and then he may use a portion of his stimulus check for that. That's his to do with as he wants. And so I don't know. Then our last category. So when I made this budget, I had thought that we would actually be cashing a check for a project Jared did in November. And so I thought we'd have finished repaying our checking account in November. This category technically is not a debt. This is just repaying a $3,500 buffer that we like to keep in our checking account that we depleted when we bought a house because we had to take money from a bunch of different savings places because we weren't actually ready to buy a house yet. Again, that video is linked above so you can hear about it there. But we had just more than I thought to save, so we actually had to put still $900 towards that checking account repayment this month. But that finished it, so we are done repaying our checking account. It's now back to its $3,500 balance, which I include kind of because Jared's income is unstable, and that way we always have about a month of expenses, or what used to be a month of expenses, no longer because of our extra bills, but a month of our regular expenses in case for some reason he didn't get any money in a month. But now we can get back to our number one goal, which is my student loan payment. So we use a zero-based budget. So that is the goal that we're working on. So all of our extra pennies after every other category goes in there, which this month was $665.90. And that makes our total of debt repayment $1,565.90. And I'm very excited because this got my student loan under $15,000. I'll show you. I'll zoom out on my little debt repayment thing. This is my just little chart that I made, and this is where I was, and now I'll fill it out. So I have $1,245 left on this loan. So, and 100, 200, 300, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 45 is about halfway. So all of this I have done this month, and honestly part of that, but I didn't wait to fill it out on camera. So I am chugging along, and I'm so excited because now I can move back to working on this fully, and we will, fingers crossed, have this paid off this year, hopefully by the summer. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know down in the comments how your December went, if you blew your budget on Christmas or if you stayed under, and make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.
Find myself on that old familiar pathway that leads me down that same old beat. But every day I find I'm leaving empty, with water sloshing on